fiberologist. This is Tony from the Fiberology Lab. And this is our weekly demo. And today's weekly demo is on the Hex N More ruler by Jaybird Quilts. This is a great ruler to cut hexagons, triangles, half hexagons, in diamond-shaped pieces. This is meant for machine sewing. Can you use it to cut these pieces for EPP? Sure, if you want to, but I encourage you to use this for sewing patterns that were designed for it, which are all by Jaybird Quilts. She made tools to work with her patterns. She's got some great patterns out there. We have a lot in stock. You can check in the links below the video and you can see all the things that we carry, and we always are getting new stuff in. So a couple of things about this ruler. It has a very slickery back. So the first thing you want to do is find a way to put a product on back, like I use grippy paper, slipping grips, so it's a sandpaper. I've used the grip dots, and I have a new product coming in that I do not have in hand to show you, but it is a spray. It is a grippy spray. You spray lightly on the back of your ruler and your ruler will not slip. I'll do a demo just on that product when it comes in. So first thing you can do is find a way to stabilize the back of your ruler. Next thing is that you need some glow tape. Any glow tape will work. You can use tape, washi tape. I use glow tape. I like it because I can see through it. Because these lines are very fine and thin, it's kind of hard to see with your eye. And then once you've got your ruler set up, let's get our fabric prepped. What's really cool about this ruler, it's designed, there are specific sizes for it. Like the biggest hexagon you can make is 8, but it's done in 2-inch increments. We have 2, 4, 6, and 8-inch size hexagons. And then you can do triangles. So you can do a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1-inch triangle. And then we have these diamonds. So again, we got 2-inch diamonds, 4-inch, 6, and 8. And normally what that measurement is the across measurement is what she has done. This is a little different than EPP. On EPP, one side is the size of the, like the hexagon. If this is a 1.5-inch side width, that's the size of the hexagon. In this case, she did a little differently. She did it where it goes down the middle of the piece for sizing. So let's get going. So I've got a 3.5-inch and a 6.5-inch. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and pull out the 6.5 and cut a hexagon. Now, if you have, what's really cool about this ruler, and with all of Julie's Jaybird quilt patterns, is that they have very well written directions. The step-by-step color so you can see it and exactly what you need to do. And the first thing I notice when I look at this is I always see the Hex N More logo of the ruler facing up. So that tells me that's the top side of the ruler. So you never want to turn your ruler over, and I'm going to show you how to work this for left-handers, because this is all for right-handers. This is great. A right-hander is always going to cut on the right side of the ruler. So if you look, this is where you're going to cut. But left-handers have to cut on the left side of the ruler. I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. So basically, I'm going to go to the hexagon. I'm going to do a half hexagon. I'll do a 60-degree and a jewel. She calls them jewel. I call them diamonds. You know, my birthday's April. I think of diamonds when I see that shape. So let's go ahead and start with a hexagon. And you can see how she's got it lined up. So we are doing the 6-inch. So I have the line on my Hex N More ruler highlighted, so I know that's where I want the top edge of my fabric, because I cut this at 6.5. And the bottom is down here. I'm not worried about the bottom. I just want to make sure I can line it up with the top. So let me go ahead and put that on here. I'm sorry if I keep bumping the camera. I have a really interesting way of setting this up. Now I do make sure I get the best use of my fabric. I make sure that point comes all the way to the edge. I line it up on the top, and does it match the, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I had that glow tape, and this is why I use glow tape. I use the top of the ruler. I should have been using the glow tape at the 6.5-inch line. So once I do that, my fabric will line up right. So there's the 6.5-inch line down here, and it lines up perfectly. It lines up here. So now I'm just going to trim off these little angles here. I take my time when I do this. My camera's in my way, so I might look a little awkward. Whoops. A little awkward when I do this angle. There we go. So now we just pull that over. Now, my first instinct is to flip this over because I can cut left and right. But what did I mention? I mentioned that you need to make sure you always keep the Hex N More facing up. So what she tells you in the direction is rotate your fabric. And then I'm going to line it up. Let me get myself lined back up here on the mat so you can see. Line it back up with the 6.5 inch hexagon. And then I'm going to cut off this piece. Now, you notice I did not go all the way down, but or go all the way up. I try to get the best use of my fabric. Pull that away. You also notice I did not move my hand off the ruler until I pulled the fabric away. Who wants to keep resetting? I don't. I make sure my hand is there and make sure I cut all through the fabric before I move the ruler. So that's the hexagon. We got that done. Whew. That was easy peasy. So let's see what's next. Let's see if we can make, the next one is a half hexagon. So let's see what a half hexagon looks like on a 6 inch piece. Probably should do a 3 inch. Yeah, let's do the 3.5. Because I want to make a half of that. That's basically what I'm doing. So according to her pictures, she actually had, so you do it this way. I'm trying to make sure I don't hit the camera. I apologize if I keep banging it. So on this, I have this line here in this, this glow tape line on the center line of the tool. And I'm going to put that at the bottom of this 3.5 inch. And if you look, it matches up to my pink line up here, which is the 6.5 inch line. So I am making a half of what I just did. Now it's got a little dog ear here thing. Make sure you cut that off. So I'm going to cut that off first. And then pull my pieces. Again, don't move that hand. Now in this case, she actually tells you to flip your fabric to the wrong side. Not the ruler again. So again, my mind would have been, oh, I'll just flip the ruler. Nope, she tells you to flip the fabric to the wrong side. So I know this is a solid, but this is the wrong side of this particular piece. And then we're just going to line it back up. Hang on. Trying to get around my stand. I'm waiting for an over a table camera holder. I'm going to have one soon so I can not worry about hitting the camera. But this is what I got for now. So what I have done is I've lined it up on all the 3 sides that are on the ruler, and I'm just going to cut the other half of this hexagon. Again, making sure you get that little dog ear and then pull it out. So now we have a full hexagon and half a hexagon. So that's the next thing. The next thing is a 60-degree angle or a triangle. There's more than one angle in a triangle. I'm just going to use this 3.5 inch strip I have already. And I rarely follow on to the cut edge because things move and shift. So I will line this up a little differently. Again, I have the glow tape on the 3 inch line. I'm going to put it at the bottom of my fabric. Oh, yep. I'll show left-handed way in a second. Don't worry. Let me do all the right-handed ways first so I don't confuse people. I'm hoping this is all is seen on the camera. This is always the fun part. So again, I'm going to cut a 3 inch triangle using the bottom point of the Hex N More. So again, lined it up at the 3 inch line here. This is a 3.5 inch strip. I think that's the best thing about Julie's patterns. Now, technically, never draw the rotary cutter towards you. It's very dangerous. So in this situation, I would do the thing she said before, flip the fabric over and then cut. Though I almost cut with my left hand. I'm like, well, that would really confuse you. So again, always on the right side of the ruler. Always make sure the ruler's facing up to make sure you get those shapes properly. And then the last piece she has is on the ruler is what she call a jewel. So, now to cut jewels, put this up here. I'm trying to get the space over here so you can see it in the camera. Now to cut jewels, it says, it's a very tiny line here. This is a 2.5 inch hexagon up here. It's a little confusing, but right here it says 3.5 inch jewel. Over here it says 6.5 inch jewel. Over here it's a 9.5 inch jewel. Again, remember that number, that measurement's coming from the point of the jewel up. So it's in the widest spot on the piece that you are cutting. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut a 3.5 inch jewel, which is right down here. I should put my tape right there. Let's do that. I like the low tape because poof, it just moves really easily and I can see it. So what I did in this case was I lined it up with the top of the jewel line and then it matches down here at the bottom. And so again, I'm gonna cut here and then I'm gonna flip over the fabric. So I'm gonna cut, and I'm sorry, I'm probably way in front of the camera. Flip over the fabric, match it to those three lines on the ruler. This is a pretty small little jewel. She uses these a lot in her diamonds patterns that she has done up. Like if you have nebula or what's the other one, galaxy, those ones are where you'll see a lot of these kind of shapes in it. But there's the jewel. So there you go. You have 3 cut pieces or shapes for using the Hex N More ruler. So I'm going to go through again, but I'm going to do it left-handed. So if you're right-handed, that's the basis. So you don't have to, so you can just sit back or fast forward the next couple of things. But we're going to do this left-handed now. All right, let's go through on how to cut if you are left-handed like I am. Now, when I was talking about the right-handed folks, and always make sure your Hex N More ruler is facing up, because that way you're consistent, you know you're doing the process right, you're following the directions. Lefties, I'm going to actually encourage you to use the ruler upside down. The numbers are the same, it's still accurate. It's just it's easier for us versus trying to walk around a table or a space. Like you could rotate your mats and things like that. Let's try to keep this simple for ourselves. So what you're going to do with it upside down, you can put rubber stickies on the back side as well, because again it'll slide. So I've cut off the one side already, so I'm just going to line this up. That's what I did. I had the salvage in and I just went ahead and cut it. Well, now I need to cut this side of my 6.5 inch hexagon. So again, we're going to rotate our fabric just like she says in the patterns for right-handers. All the difference we're doing is we have flipped the ruler. We have just turned it over because we're rebels. Us left-handers are rebels. And again, just slowly cut. And then move your fabric and you have your hexagon. Now for, let's go and do, let's see if I can do the halves. I might not have enough half piece here, but we're gonna go and do the half hexagon, same thing. This time I'm gonna actually use this scrap. I'm lining it up with the bottom of my fabric. And I'm just gonna take that dog ear off, cut, and I'm going to cut all the way up because I want to use this piece of fabric. I want to use the best. And this is going to happen to you when you are working. And the same for right-handed people. When you work with this, I actually cut 2 layers at once because I like to be a little more efficient and fast. And so you're going to come to a strange center piece. And this is what you're going to have to do, kind of find the best way to use your fabric. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that as a left-hander. We're going to take off that dog ear. And then this time I'm actually going to cut it all the way up. And I'm not going to cut across. We'll cut across on the next side because you can see I lined it up with my cut from my hexagon. So now I'm going to flip it. I know those dog ears and this angle is right, so I'm going to match it onto my 6.5 lines upside down. And I'm going to cut that off real quick. Then what I'm going to do is I know that this is 3.5 inches. I'm going to just take a ruler and I'm going to do this real quick. Let's trim it all the way up. And I'm going to cut off that triangle using a ruler. 3.5. This just happens to be a 3.5 ruler because I had it handy, and I just pulled that off. So I kind of did a little bit of manipulation, but you can see how my brain works. That worked to get me my half hexagon out of a 6.5 inch piece from that. So doing the triangle on the bottom of your ruler, for lefties, it's going to be the same because it's really, it's the same both ways. It's the diamond that gets a little crazy. So let's do the diamond real quick. So again, if we are right-handed, we line that up and we cut on this side. But we're not right-handed. So we're going to flip this around and we're going to flip the ruler around. Again, only if you're left-handed. I know I don't, that sounds really silly, but sometimes the way our brains work is consistency. And if you're right-handed and you're flipping the ruler around and around, you're going to get confused. So always make sure your Hex N More is facing up. If you're left-handed, always make sure it's facing down. And I'm going to just trim that, trim that. Now again, like she says in the pattern, she actually tells you to flip your fabric and match it up with those lines you just cut, and then do the other side. But again, leaving the ruler upside down. And that is how you are going to cut your hexes and your jewels as a left-hander. I'm gonna fade out and then come right back. All right, so that was how we cut with this tool. I love that this directions are all, again, all in here with all the visual needs you had, tools you need. Julie, who owns Jaybird Quilts, also has a couple different groups. You can watch videos of her doing it. And this is another great tool on the back side of this. This is a pamphlet that comes with the ruler that kind of gives you an idea of what to cut and how to cut things. Some basic piecing directions too. So like with anything with a triangle, because she's cut off your dog ears using this ruler, which is awesome, you can easily line up things and sew instead of trying to guesstimate that triangle. So that is how you're going to use your Hex N More ruler. Check the links below because we do have them and carry them in stock, and lots of other patterns that support them. So if any questions, don't hesitate to email me, info@fibrologylab.com, or you can leave a comment in the video below the video. Thanks a lot for joining me, and remember, we are friends, fibers, and fun.